Throughout this video will be safety messages to reduce the risk of severe injury or even death. If you have friends who ride or are interested in riding Sea-Doo personal watercrafts, show them this video and review the operator's guide and the on-product warning labels with them. You'll be doing your part to ensure our sport remains safe and enjoyable. As you're probably aware, all Sea-Doo watercrafts feature a jet drive propulsion system. In this section, we'll explain what a watercraft jet drive is and how to properly steer your watercraft.
The engine of your PWC is directly coupled to a drive shaft, which in turn rotates an impeller. This impeller is in a housing where water is drawn up from underneath the watercraft through the intake grate. Then the water flows through the impeller to a venturi. The venturi accelerates the water and produces thrust to move the PWC. Depressing the throttle increases engine speed and therefore watercraft speed. Sea-Doo watercrafts have a steerable nozzle at the rear of the boat, controlled by handlebars, which direct the stream of water from left to right. This is a key characteristic of all jet drive systems and must be kept in mind when operating a Sea-Doo watercraft. Do not release throttle when trying to steer away from an object. You need throttle to steer. Always check throttle and steering controls for proper operation before starting the PWC. The steering efficiency of your PWC will differ depending on the number of passengers, loads, water conditions, and environmental factors such as the wind. Your PWC may be equipped with the off-power assisted steering system, also called OPUS. The side vanes on the rear sides of the hull turn as the steering is turned to assist the PWC in turning. Your PWC may be equipped with the off-throttle assisted steering system, also called OTUS. This system provides additional maneuverability in off-throttle situations. The OTUS system is electronically activated and slightly increases the engine speed in some situations. Please consult your operator's guide for all the details. Keep away from the intake grate while the engine is on. Items such as long hair, loose clothing, or PFD straps can become entangled in moving parts, resulting in severe injury or drowning. Do not apply throttle when anyone is in the rear of the PWC. Turn engine off or keep engine at idle. Water and/or debris exiting the jet thrust nozzle can cause severe injury.
Before going further, let's talk about some requirements for operators and passengers. First, BRP recommends a minimum operator age of 16 years old. You must know boating laws, including the operator age and training requirements for your state or province. A boating safety course is recommended and may be required in your state or province. Consider the mental and physical capabilities of the operator and passengers, as well as what supervision and instructions they need during operation. Knowing the safety information about the personal watercraft is essential for safe and proper operation. You wouldn't hand someone the keys to your car unless you were sure they knew how to drive. Well, the same rule needs to be applied to boating. Your boat is your responsibility no matter who's operating it. It's your responsibility to make sure users are familiar with all safety information. So make sure they know before they go.
All passengers must sit behind the operator to avoid loss of control and severe injury for the driver and passengers. They should be tall enough to touch the footrest firmly on each side and be able to hold on properly. Do not bring a passenger or ride as a passenger if those requirements are not met. Do not overload the watercraft. Respect the capacity limits that are posted. Wear a personal flotation device. All riders must wear a Coast Guard approved PFD that is suitable for PWC use. For better protection, the PFD must be well adjusted and have the right weight rating. Wear protective clothing. Severe internal injuries can occur if water is forced into body cavities as a result of falling into the water or being near the jet thrust nozzle. Normal swimwear does not adequately protect against forceful water entry into lower body openings of males or females. All riders must wear a wetsuit bottom or clothing that provides equivalent protection. Footwear, gloves, and goggle glasses are recommended. Your operator's guide contains detailed information to help you choose the right protection.
Everyone knows you shouldn't get behind the wheel of a car if you've had a drink. Well, the same applies when you're operating a watercraft. Never ride after consuming drugs or alcohol. Moreover, on the water, it may take you less alcohol before becoming impaired. Beware of the combination of fatigue and alcohol or drugs. Passengers are included in that rule. Their ability to hold on and pay attention may be impaired by alcohol or drugs. Before lending your personal watercraft or letting passengers ride with you, evaluate their condition. You need to know when to say no. Remember that fatigue alone can be a sufficient reason to decide to stay ashore, particularly at the end of a day. A collision is an unfortunate event which will hopefully never happen to you. They result in more injuries and deaths than any other types of accidents for personal watercrafts. As an operator, put all the chances on your side. Behave in a manner to avoid collisions. In this chapter, we will provide you with information about collision avoidance.
Scan constantly for people, objects, and other watercraft. Be alert for conditions that limit your visibility or block your vision of others. Operate defensively at a safe speed and keep a safe distance away from people, objects, and other watercraft. Do not follow directly behind personal watercraft or other boats. Avoid sharp turns or other maneuvers that make it hard for others to avoid you or understand where you are going. Do not go near others to spray or splash them with water. Avoid areas with submerged objects or shallow water. Take early action to avoid collisions. Remember, personal watercraft and other boats do not have brakes. Do not release the throttle when trying to steer away from an object. You need throttle to steer. Ride within your limits and avoid aggressive maneuvers to reduce the risk of loss of control, ejection, and collision. This is a high-performance boat, not a toy. Sharp turns or jumping wakes or waves can increase the risk of back spinal injury, paralysis, facial injuries, and broken legs, ankles, and other bones. Do not jump wakes or waves. You may not see a boat or a person being towed behind it. Know and follow all local, state, province, and federal laws. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. It is your responsibility to get informed. Observe and obey all posted speed limit signs and other navigation markers. And finally, don't forget to use your judgment, too.
A training course is a very good way to get you familiarized with all the rules of the road on water. For now, however, let's look at the right-of-way rules, which are probably the most important rules of navigation. In all situations, use common sense.
A more maneuverable boat should stay out of the way of less maneuverable crafts. Sailboats, windsurfers, canoes, and other manually powered boats have the right-of-way over personal watercraft because they're not as easy or as quick to maneuver. Then, when meeting head-on or traveling on the same path as another boat, neither boat has the right-of-way. Both should steer to the right. When crossing the path of another boat, the boat on the right has the right-of-way. The other boat steers clear, altering its course to the right and crossing behind the right-of-way boat. The yielding boat should do everything possible to avoid the crossing boat, including slowing, stopping, or reversing. If you're crossing the path of a boat coming from your left, you should keep the same path at the same speed and should change course only when trying to avoid collision. When trying to pass another boat from behind, stay far from the boat you're trying to pass. You can pass on either side as long as you stay well clear of the slower moving vessel.
However, in all situations, if a collision is imminent, you must take another course of action to try to avoid the collision. Try to let the other boater know what you're doing and make your move decisively. Remember, just because you know these rules doesn't mean other boaters are as well versed. Defensive driving is key to safe boating, so always give yourself time to react no matter what the situation. It's time to get closer to the personal watercraft. Think of this as your key to ride, because without it, you aren't going anywhere. It's the safety lanyard. The safety lanyard provided with your watercraft is the only one that allows your engine to start.
Attach one end to your PFD and snap the other end on the post. Keep it free from handlebars so that the engine stops if the operator falls off. You should hear 2 beeps and the engine can be started. Check your operator's guide for more information on the meaning of any other signal. A learning key and a reduced speed key are also available. Those keys are programmed to limit the speed of the PWC and are recommended for less experienced riders. After riding, remove the safety lanyard to avoid unauthorized use by children or others. To start the engine, firmly grip the handlebar, place both feet on the floorboards, and depress the Start-Stop button. Immediately after the engine is started, release the Start-Stop button. Pulling the safety lanyard off the switch automatically stops the engine, just like pushing the Start-Stop button when the vehicle is running. It is always a good idea to practice and get familiar with all controls, functions, and handling characteristics of the PWC before venturing further. Start at a slow speed, make circles, figure eights, and release the throttle. Then increase your speed and repeat that maneuver until you feel comfortable. When you fully release the throttle, the engine returns to idle speed and the watercraft is gradually slowed by water drag. It is a good idea to get a feel for the stopping distance of your PWC at different speeds. Remember, PWCs and other boats do not have brakes. Do not release the throttle when trying to steer away from an object. Remember, you need throttle to steer. A reverse is available on some models. While it is particularly useful when docking, it is not a brake and should not be used as such. If you plan on riding with passengers, make sure your passengers are ready to ride before applying the throttle. They need to hold on when you start and accelerate. Maintain communication with your passengers about what is going to happen next. Never apply throttle if a passenger is in the water at the rear of the craft. You could expose them to the jet thrust. If you are the passenger, learn how to properly hold on and make sure you hold on. The PWC is equipped with grab handles and a seat strap. As well, you can always hold on to the person in front of you. It will help the operator if you maintain your balance and anticipate maneuvers and waves. Tell the driver to slow down if you are uncomfortable or feel out of control. As a driver or passenger, you need to be ready to fall into the water. If you are not comfortable with that idea, stay ashore. Before reboarding, make sure the engine is off. Get on from the rear by gripping the handle or top of the seat and pulling yourself upward until your knee can reach the boarding platform. Grab the seat strap and bring your feet up to the floorboard. The operator should board first, with the passenger holding on to the side to steady the boat. To maintain balance while the passenger boards, the operator should move as close to the console as possible. Never use the jet pump components as a support point. Do not start the engine until the passenger is seated. Connect the safety lanyard on its post and make sure the other end of the safety lanyard is still attached to your PFD. Check surrounding area for traffic, press start, and you're on your way. In case of capsizing, to return the watercraft upright, ensure the engine is off and the safety lanyard is not on its post. Then grab the inlet grate, step on the bumper rail, and use your weight to rotate the watercraft in any direction. Consult your operator's guide for more details.